Hey everybody, welcome to Hockey Skate Down. Before we get into the video, I just want to say thank you to all my subscribers. If you want to join our hockey team, it's free. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell to all. Thank you all so much, and let's get started. So, I've been seeing all the social media talk with Canucks fans about, what it might take for the New Jersey Devils to acquire Quinn Hughes, or what the Vancouver Canucks might get in the trade for Quinn Hughes, and I had to do a video on this, because now you're seeing analysts talking about what the return might be for Quinn Hughes, and let me start off by saying this. The Devils don't have to make this trade. They know right now that if Quinn Hughes becomes a free agent, he's going to want to play with his brothers and he's going to sign with the New Jersey Devils. So he does not have to make a move. The only reason I'm saying he's going to do this is if Quinn Hughes approaches management and says, listen, I'm not planning on signing an extension here, which he has said, that is public knowledge at this point. But if he says now, I don't want to stick around for another coach and a rebuild and all that, I want to get moved this offseason. So this is the basis I'm doing this video on, because all the leverage is with Tom Fitzgerald in the situation. Jim Rutherford basically put his foot in his mouth by saying that Quinn Hughes wants to play with his brothers, and all the turmoil that's happened with the Vancouver Canucks. I don't blame Quinn Hughes if he says, you know what, I need a fresh start. I want to go somewhere else. Losing out on JT Miller, making that trade, all the turmoil with what transpired, with all the locker room talk. Then the whole Besser situation where they lowballed him and they could have traded him for assets and they didn't. And, just all that sort of situation where they're still evaluating Brock Besser. You know what the guy provides, and you're still trying to nickel and dime him for years and term and stuff like that. They did the same thing with Willander. I apologize if I'm saying that wrong. But even Connor Garland is saying that he may not want to stick around with the team. And then, the whole decision with Rick Tocchet and going forward with bringing in Adam Foote. It's just a lot. Maybe he just says, enough of it. I'm tired of it. I want to go to an organization. I want to play with my brothers. I want to go to the Devils. So that's the only reason I'm doing this video, is because all the leverage is with Tom Fitzgerald right now. He can easily just sit and wait and sign him as a free agent, or you can make a trade to benefit your team now with bringing in Quinn Hughes for those additional 2 years, which I think could happen. This is a trade that definitely keep an eye out on as the rest of the season goes on with the playoffs, and we start free agency and the draft and all that, because I do think he might get traded this offseason. And I don't want Vancouver Canucks to get mad at me with this, but you've seen situations happen like this with the past, with the star player wants to get traded and the return might not be as good as they anticipate. And I'm just saying this because I know the Devils aren't going to trade Nico Hischier. They're not going to trade Jesper Bratt. They're not trading Timo Meier. And we're not trading Jack Hughes and Luke Hughes. So those are pipe dreams. The Devils are at this point where they want to add to their roster and build a championship team. If they lose any of those players, it's just setting them back, and they're not going to do that. So this is a trade video where I'm trying to be as level-headed as possible, because I don't see any of these trade players being included, but I do see the Devils possibly making a trade where it wouldn't set them off going forward with losing picks and prospects, and it wouldn't set them back with players that they could move in a trade. So let's talk about who I think might logically be traded to the Vancouver Canucks if Quinn Hughes is moved to the New Jersey Devils. So stay with me throughout. So the first person I'm going to mention in this is Dougie Hamilton. I hate saying his name. It's something with a player when they're free agents and they choose your team to want to go to, and they sign a big contract to go there and shift your momentum of, the way you're going forward. I love Dougie Hamilton for that, because, not a lot of players in the past chose the Devils, and he did when they hit free agency. So fans always have a special place in their heart for players like this. And I hate saying his name, but it's just he's the odd man out in this. Because when you're looking at the Devils' defense, you're going to sign Luke Hughes to an extension. You brought Dylan in for a reason, to add that physicality and toughness. You have Siegenthaler as one of your best defensive defensemen. I don't see him being moved. So you have your left side addressed there. You have decisions to make with Dumoulin. That's another tough decision to make. You have the right side of Pesce and Kovacevic, who you brought them in for a reason. You re-signed Kovacevic. And you have Shimon Nemeth and Seamus Casey to round out those other bottom spots. So if you're looking at the Devils' cap space, you're not trading Shimon Nemeth, you're not trading Seamus Casey, I don't think, in this situation. But you're looking at Dougie Hamilton. Dougie Hamilton has 3 years left on his deal at $9 million. He's 31 years old, 6'6", 229 pounds. Looking at his last couple of years, he has dealt with injury history this past season as well. Only played 64 games, 9 goals, 31 assists, 40 points. Still was able to put up a 40-point year and almost a 10-goal season. His best year with the Devils came in 22-23. He played in 82 games, 22 goals, 52 assists, 74 points. He was lights out that year. Any shot he took from the point was going in, and he rounded out our power plays and quarterbacked it so well. I loved the way he played that year. And just to see him on social media and everything, I hate losing Dougie Hamilton, but you can't construct your defense with the way you have it now and bring in Quinn Hughes. You can't. It's too much money just going to be allocated to Dougie Hamilton, Quinn, and Luke Hughes. So one of them has to go, and it's going to possibly be Dougie Hamilton in this situation. Looking at another add-in might be Dawson Mercer in this situation. You know, with all the players that the Canucks have lost, with Miller and Besser probably, and maybe Connor Garland, you're going to look to add some offense, and Dawson Mercer is that. He's signed in for another 2 years after this at $4 million. You know, he's a center and a wing, so he can play anywhere in a lineup. He's a very durable player. He's played every single game that he's suited up for with the Devils, 82 games a year, so he has that in his lineup, and he has that dog-on-bone mentality, kind of like the way Connor Garland plays for the Vancouver Canucks. So he would be an awesome fit for the Canucks. He can play anywhere in the lineup, any line, center, wing. He could play power play. He could play penalty kill. He's a player that I think would attract a trade in this situation. And then you add maybe a pick or two. You know, the Devils have an additional 2025 second-round pick. They have an additional 2026 fourth-round pick. So maybe that's the avenue they take. Maybe one or two of them. I don't know. And then you have prospects that probably won't see the light of day in a Devils uniform. Maybe just play with Utica, where they might want to go to a different team for that better opportunity to possibly play. You know, players like Philmon and, you know, maybe Xavier Perrant or, you know, Tobias Villain on defense. You know, the Devils do have prospects that they could add to the situation to help the Vancouver Canucks out. And, you know, that could be a possibility. I don't think the Devils want to lose any of these prospects, but when you have players signed in like Gritsuk, who's possibly going to play ahead of him, Hemanyaho, and also Cam Squires is really making a name for himself, kind of pushes those players down the prospect pool, and maybe they might be included in a trade. So that's where I see this going. I could see it being Dougie Hamilton, Dawson Mercer, a pick or two, and maybe a prospect or whatever. That's the way I see it going. I know it's not going to be the return that the Vancouver Canucks are looking for, but the Devils are not trading Nico Hischier. They're not trading Jesper Bratt. They're not trading Timo Meier. And they're not going to trade Jack and Luke Hughes to the Vancouver Canucks. It's not going to happen. I know a lot of Canuck fans are going to be upset, but this is what I think is going to happen. If Quinn comes to the organization and says, I don't see myself here long term, I want to be traded, and only to the Devils, gives the Devils all the leverage in this to say, well, this is the package I'm going to give you, or else I'm just going to wait until he's a free agent. We don't necessarily need defense right now, so that's where I think it helps out the situation with the Devils. So looking at what the Devils might want from the Vancouver Canucks, of course it's going to be Quinn Hughes as one of them, 25 years old. He has 2 years left at $7.85 million. This past year he played in 68 games, 16 goals, 60 assists for 76 points. We all know what Quinn Hughes does. He's one of the best defensemen in the league. And, you know, I think his numbers would just skyrocket even more playing with his brothers and with the New Jersey Devils. I would love to see this. You know, the fans have been wanting to see all the brothers united on a team. And I think this is the way it happens. And I think it might happen starting this offseason. So Quinn Hughes is definitely one of those pieces that's going to happen. The other one I want to add is Kiefer Sherwood. I love the way this guy plays. You know, you didn't see him a lot play with the Nashville Predators and the Colorado Avalanche and Anaheim Ducks, but when he got his opportunity to play with the Vancouver Canucks, he had such a good year with them. And the side note with this is that Quinn Hughes saw him play when he played against them with the Nashville Predators in the playoffs and liked the way he played and went to the Vancouver Canucks management and said to bring him in might be useful for us. So looking at the year he had, 78 games played, 19 goals, 21 assists, 40 points. He has one more year left at $1.5 million, so his cap is great. And he led the league with 462 hits. He's a physical player. I've seen him listed as a wing on some sites, and I've seen him, you know, play center at some times. So maybe he's that versatile player like Dawson Mercer, but, you know, maybe he's just a winger. I don't know. But, you know, 6 foot, 194 pounds. I like the way he plays. I like the way this guy hits, and the Devils are looking at that. They're looking at players who can play not just adding goals and assists on the board, but can also bring those intangibles like leading in the hits department as well. And adding that when you have Cotter and all these other players that you've added that can add that physicality too. I really like Kiefer Sherwood. The Devils are looking to add those third, fourth line pieces. I think he'd be a perfect fit to that third line, maybe playing with Paul Cotter. So I like this trade. I really do. And the mere fact that what happens with this is if the Devils trade out Dougie Hamilton and Dawson Mercer, I'm just including them because I think they would be definite players in this. They're trading out $13 million in cap space. The Vancouver Canucks would have that next year. And bringing in with Kiefer Sherwood and Luke Hughes $9.35 million. So that's a savings of $3.65 million in cap space. The Devils can look to add another winger, which I hope they can do this year. So this way, you're already starting off great with adding Sherwood, Quinn Hughes, Gritsuk, and possibly another player up front on that line with Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt. So I would love this trade to happen. I think this is more of a logical trade that happens with the Vancouver Canucks only because Jim Rutherford put his foot in his mouth by saying that Quinn wants to go play with his brothers. I think that he lost all leverage in any situation. I think maybe this was really transpiring behind the scenes and he's trying to bring levity to it and bring it out there so it's not a shock to fans when it happens. So this is where I think this has been being talked about because the way Fitzgerald was asked about it on his exit interview, he was very coy. He says, you got to talk to Jim Rutherford about it. He didn't want to say too much about it. So this is where I think something is going on, and I think the works are being worked out with this trade. And I think this is something that the Devils can see happening because they're looking to address saving cap space to add it somewhere else, bringing in Quinn Hughes, and also adding to that third and fourth line players to add there. I think Kiefer Sherwood would be a brilliant addition if they can do that. So he adds goal scoring, he adds physicality, and he's got that relationship with Quinn Hughes that Quinn brought him in. So I think this would be an awesome trade if this could happen. I know Canuck fans might not like it that much, but we've seen it happen in the past where star players are moved and the return is not that great based on the leverage the team doesn't have dealing with only one team. So this is where the Devils can make a trade where they lose pieces, yes. They lose some good names that have helped this team out, but they're saving cap space and they're building a roster for the upcoming season. So comment below. What do you think about this trade if it happens between the Vancouver Canucks and the New Jersey Devils? Comment below and let me know. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate your time. Smash that like button if you haven't done so and subscribe to Hockey Skate Down. It's free and join our hockey team. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of the day. Have a great night. Take it easy. Stay safe.